Alright, so in this video I'll be doing a quick review of arithmetic and fractions. Since you guys are learning algebra, I expect you to know this stuff pretty well and it to be just a review, but a little review won't hurt you. It'll make learning algebra a little easier. So let's start with arithmetic first. So arithmetic is just manipulating numbers using addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So let's do addition first. So I hope you guys can add two positive numbers together pretty well, but negative thrown in there, can you handle that? So 3 plus negative 7. And so what you do here, you see the positive, you see the positive and the negative next to each other. That just turns into a negative. So 3 minus 7 equals -4. Now with subtraction, what you do is you'll see if you have 3 minus a -7, you'll see the minus and those two minuses next to each other, and that becomes a positive. So 3 plus 7, which equals 10. So what we're doing here with subtraction is we're just adding the opposite of the second number. So instead of subtracting -7, we can add the opposite of -7, which is just +7. So 3 plus 7 equals 10. Now on to multiplication. I'll just throw some numbers your way. 6 times 2 equals 12. -6 times +2 equals -12. 6 times -2 equals -12. And -6 times -2 equals +12. So this is pretty easy. Positive times positive, positive. Negative times any positive, doesn't matter which order, is a negative. And two negatives times multiplied together equals a positive. Same thing with division, really quickly. 6 divided by 2 equals 3. -6 divided by 2 equals -3. And 6 divided by -2 equals -3 again. And -6 divided by -2 equals +3. So that's that. Now we have to... I'll go over a couple more points before I go to fractions. So if we're dividing two real numbers, real number A and real number B, we can express it like this or like that. But anyway, if we want to turn this into a multiplication problem and form a link between multiplication and division, what we do is we would take first number, the number on top, and we multiply it. This little dot here means the same thing as multiplying by 1 divided by the second number, so A times 1 over B. Now what we're doing here, oh, by the way, this is called the reciprocal. What we're doing here is we're taking the first number, and then we're taking the second number and we're flipping it. So this bottom number, it's really b over 1. You can imagine it as b over 1. So then you take that b over 1 and then you flip it, and that's what we do with the reciprocal. It's just the number flipped is the reciprocal. So we take the b and we put it on bottom, and the 1 and we put it on top. And so that's the same thing as doing A divided by B, A times 1 over B. So some actual numbers, 35 divided by 7 is the same thing as doing 35 times 1 over 7, because we just took this 7 divided by 1 and made it, put the 1 on top and the 7 on bottom to get 1/7. Alright. Now on to the formalities of multiplying and dividing with 0. So any number times 0 equals 0. So 4 times 0 equals 0. Any non-zero number divided by 0, or excuse me, any 0 divided by any non-zero number is 0. So 0 divided by 4 equals 0. But any non-zero number divided by 0 is undefined. So 4 divided by 0 is undefined. Alright, let's move on to fractions. So if I give you just a normal fraction, let me find my pen, 1/3. So a top number, if we want to do some terminology, is called the numerator, and the bottom number is called the denominator. Hopefully I spelled that right. And adding fractions is pretty easy. If we wanted to do 1/3 plus 4/3, we just add the top two numbers. So 1 plus 4 equals 5, and add the bottom numbers stay the same. The denominator stays the same, so 5/3. 1/3 plus 4/3 equals 5/3. Now when we're, I'll get out my red pen. When we're adding fractions with different denominators, it's not so easy. So if we have 1/3 plus 1/4, we can't just add these right away. We have to convert them to both be fractions that have the same denominator. So what we do to find fractions that have the same denominator is we find the least common denominator of this 3 and 4 here. So the LCD here, if you guys remember, would be 12. So now we have to convert each of these fractions here to fractions with a denominator of 12. So let's start with 1/3. And what we're going to do here is we're going to multiply this fraction to get a fraction with a denominator of 12. So we'll take 3 times what equals 12. 3 times 4 equals 12. And now what we're doing here is we're converting this. This fraction will be equivalent to this fraction. So to do that, we have to multiply by a form of 1 to keep the numbers equivalent. So because any number multiplied by 1 is the same number, so to make this second number here equivalent to 1, we have to put a 4 on top to make this 4 divided by 4, which is equal to 1. And then we multiply the numerator together to get 1 times 4 equals 4. So that's 1/3 is equivalent to 4/12. Do the same thing for 1/4, except we're going to have to use a different fraction to multiply here. So 4 times what equals 12? That's 3. Put a 3 on top. 1 times 3 equals 3. So 3/12. So then the last step here is we add those two fractions. So the 4/12 goes in for the 1/3, and the 3/12 goes in for the 4/3. Or the 3. My bad. We're on this one here. The 1/3, 4/12 goes in for 1/3, and 3/12 goes in for 1/4. So 4/12 plus 3/12 equals 7/12. So that's our answer there. Subtraction is, as you would imagine, pretty much the same. Go to blue. 6/7 minus 1/7 equals 6 minus 1, 5. Keep the new denominator the same, 7. And we have to do the whole LCD thing if we have different denominators. So if we want to do, let's do the same thing with subtraction. So 1/3 minus 1/4 this time. So again, we have to convert this 1/3 to a fraction with the denominator 12. I hope you guys realize this same thing. So 4 and 4 equals 4/12, and 1/4 and times 4 times 3 over 3. 1 times 3 equals 3. So Then we just take these two fractions, 4/12 for 1/3 and 3/12 for 1/4, and do 4/12 minus 3/12, which will give us 1/12. Alright, so what else do I have to do here? Alright, so I showed you guys how to add, subtract, and multiply fractions. The last thing I'm going to cover is dividing fractions. So if we have, I'll switch back to white. If we have 2/7 divided by 3/4, how are we going to do this? So if you guys were paying attention in the earlier part of the video, we had right here, switch to blue, we had 35 divided by 7. And what we did there was we took the 35 divided by 7 and we took the first number and then we multiplied it by the second number flipped. So we flipped the 7 over 1 to get the 1 over 7. So we're going to have to flip the second number and multiply it by the first number in our case. So what we do here is we take 2/7, of course, and then multiply it by the second number flipped. So we're going to put the 4 on top and the 3 on bottom. So 4/3. So 2/7 times 4/3. So we know we just multiply the numerator together, 2 times 4, and the bottom denominator, 7 times 3, which gives us 8/21. Alright, that's all I have for this video. I hope you guys found it useful, and see you next time.